If you've been around this channel for any length of time, you'll know that I occasionally like to dabble in Elder Scrolls lore, and if you've been around YouTube any time in the last decade or so whilst being interested in Skyrim, you will have undoubtedly heard the phrase, the Dragonborn in the lore. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I kinda hate that phrase. I see it all the time in arguments about who should win in a fight, or gameplay videos where people say this is how powerful the Dragonborn should be and stuff like that. And honestly, it is a fair assumption to make, especially when the Elder Scrolls has so much contradictory lore that there's barely ever one single right answer to anything. But my question upon seeing this statement has always been, what lore? So, firstly, what exactly is a Dragonborn? Well, simply a Dragonborn is a mortal born with the soul of a dragon. Well, usually born. Let's not get into Mankar Cameron's labyrinth right now. This mortal is said to have been blessed by Akatosh, although sometimes it's just put down to bloodline, even though that doesn't make sense either, but hey, that's lore for you. Now, throughout most of history, they were most known for being the rulers of the Empire. This is due to the pact made with Saint Alicia at the founding of the First Empire. The pact states that a Dragonborn must sit on the throne and wear the Amulet of Kings so that the dragon fires remain lit to ward off the forces of Oblivion. Of course, this isn't very relevant anymore, as the Amulet of Kings was destroyed at the end of the Oblivion main quest, but what did being Dragonborn actually let these rulers do? Well, not much, really. You could argue that the power within them gave them a greater affinity for magic, but there's no direct link. Visions seem more likely to be a result of it, but those aren't much use to our Dragonborn, and it's not really the point anyway. No, to find the actual power of the Dragonborn, we need to look away from the Imperial Empire and towards the Old North and the ancient Nordic heroes. These Nordic heroes were known as the Tongues, and the first ones were taught the thuum by Paarthurnax, but before we get further into that, it would probably be a good idea to discuss what exactly the thuum is. Put simply, it is the power of the dragons, their ability to take the words of their language and give them form. A dragon says yol, and it breathes fire. What makes the power so unique is that it isn't magic, not conventionally anyway. Magic in the Elder Scrolls is the power to take energy that flows from Aetherius through the sun and stars and channel it into spells. The thuum does not apply. It does something that we would know to be impossible. It creates from nothing, at least as far as we know. It seems to add to the universe rather than changing it. The usual laws that govern reality do not apply. So, very powerful indeed, but back to the Tongues. The Tongues were not Dragonborn. Anyone can learn the thuum with enough study, you just need a lot of it. So, what did they do with this power? Well, after defeating the dragons and their cultists, we learn from sources like the Children of the Sky that they used their thuum like siege weapons, smashing their way through enemy fortifications, so another point for the thuum. There's even stories stating that the thuum was used to fix the ages of the Nords because an aspect of Alduin made them all 6 years old, but who knows if that's actually true. Certainly possible though. And then we come to Jurgen Windcaller. Jurgen Windcaller was a tongue who came to the realization that the thuum should only be used as a tool for revering the gods. And after a great deal of meditation, he became so powerful that he was apparently able to eat the shouts of the other tongues until they were so exhausted that they conceded that his way of the voice was the true path. This leads to the Greybeards. The Greybeards are said to be masters of the voice, and so powerful in fact that if any of them, say for one, were to speak, it would simply kill whoever they were talking to. Which, to be honest, doesn't really sound like mastery to me, but hey, I'm not an old beardy scholar. Now, we've established that the thuum is incredibly powerful, but how does this affect our Dragonborn? Well, with there being a bunch of dragons around, they're able to kill them and absorb their souls, which grants them a direct understanding of a word of power. That's pretty neat. The last Dragonborn certainly has a great command over the thuum, but it's not on this potentially continent-destroying level of the Greybeards. In fact, even after absorbing souls, we see that the thuum can still be enhanced through study, as Parthenax teaches us, by helping to give us a deeper understanding of a word of power, which in-game translates to a boost in a shout that we pick. But this shows that there is deeper meaning and power to be gained. We learn this to a greater degree in the Dragonborn DLC as we gain power from Hermaeus Mora, but we also meet Mirak, the self-proclaimed first Dragonborn, who we need help from Mora to defeat. And we also need help defeating Alduin. We don't fight him ourselves, we need the combined power of our voice and that of the ancient Nordic heroes. So, am I saying that the last Dragonborn is weak? No, not even close. People do not often solo entire dwarven ruins in the Elder Scrolls. They are insanely dangerous, and that's just a mournless afternoon to the Dragonborn. Never mind all the dragon killing they do. The Dragonborn is far more powerful than most are in the Elder Scrolls. So, what does that mean for my original point? Well, aside from having shout cooldowns, there isn't really much of a reason to suggest that the Dragonborn would be any more powerful than they're depicted. Although, granted, no shout cooldowns would make quite a difference. So, given everything we've talked about, from the tongues to the nature of the thuum to the training required to master it to the level of the Greybeards, what this phrase should really be, instead of the Dragonborn in the lore, is the potential of the Dragonborn in the lore. Or, you could just not be incredibly pedantic like I'm being. But I like sources. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed me rambling about a mostly completely pointless topic. Be sure to subscribe for more of that, and I'll see you next time.